Can a set's popularity in Commander inform your sealed product buy and hold decisions? I think the answer is yes, and I'll show you why in this video with a quick example. Let's get into it. So Commander is the most popular format in Magic. We all know that. Can you leverage that fact, though, to inform what you buy when you're buying and holding sealed product? I think so, sure. It's one of those many X factors that I talk about when I'm sizing up sets to buy. Over the course of the next few videos I'd like to put out, I'm going to compare the products that are currently available in Standard to each other, two at a time, and then maybe sum it all up in the end, and look at three important things: the popularity of the cards in the set, the actual price of those popular cards, and then the kind of printing window, current box price, availability in general of the sets. I'm going to start here with Zendikar Rising and Kaldheim, because those are the two oldest sets in Standard, and what's interesting is that they're both still available for their launch prices in a way, kind of that $99 range for boxes. So if I'm given the opportunity to buy one over the other, or at this point, since it's kind of late in the game, do I add to my position? What do I like? I've still got the opportunity to pay launch prices for this stuff. So does one have an edge over the other? Does that even work? Is it too wishy-washy? Let's find out here. But first, if you like videos like this and you'd like to follow along, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave a comment. It really does go a long way. So first up, let's look at popularity of the cards. These are the top 10 cards in Zendikar Rising based on EDHREC and the number of eligible decks that each of these is found in. Starting with number 1 on the left, you've got Valakut Awakening, Lotus Cobra, Scute Swarm, Clearwater Pathway, and Seagate Restoration. A lot of modal dual-face cards in there, but they range between the 30s and the 50,000s in terms of the number of eligible decks that they're in. Is that a lot? Is that a little? I think that'll kind of come into focus as we go through. But numbers 6 through 10 in that set in particular are Riverglide Pathway, Needleverge Pathway, Brightclimb Pathway, Felidar Retreat, and Branchloft Pathway. I'm sensing a pattern, are you? These are in the kind of the upper 20s to the lower 30,000s. So that's the overall number of decks. Is that more or less popular than Kaldheim? Well, here's a quick chart. I like to break things down into charts. You can pause the video here, take a look. I'll put this up online. So this is a bit of a tool that you can download and use. It's got all of the current Standard sets in it. So you're getting a sneak peek at all of the information I've put together for the other videos, but you can choose to update this as you see fit, maybe use it to your advantage, maybe keep expanding on it for other sets that are coming out. But what I've shown here is simply the number of decks ranking the top 10 cards, and then the price of the card, because the popularity of a card, great, but if they're all commons, that's not really going to buoy the box price long term. So I've just, for what it's worth, put the price of the cards on here too. So if we move along to Kaldheim, what you can see here in their top 10, you've got Toski, Birgi, Tybalt's Trickery, Blightstep Pathway, and Bark Channel Pathway. So you can already notice there's a slight dip in the number of eligible decks that the top 5 most popular cards in Commander from Kaldheim are used in. We're ranging from the 20s to the 30,000s now, instead of hitting up into the 50s for Valakut Awakening and Zendikar. Does that matter? Is that a big deal? We'll take a look in just a second. The next cards, kind of 6 through 10 here, you've got Darkboar Pathway, Realm Walker, Goldspan Dragon, the World Tree, and Hengate Pathway. So the lands, the modal dual-face lands, are kind of dominating both lists across both sets. I don't think that's a surprise. We all know how popular those cards are. Here is a visual, though, so you can see there is actually a disparity when it comes to the popularity of these cards in each of these sets. So Zendikar Rising definitely has an edge over Kaldheim. Whether or not this is a very popular set or not, we'll have to sort of get that context as we go. But if I'm just comparing these two, and I have faith in both products long term, and I'm seeking just an edge, I've only got $99 to spend, and I really want to buy one of these two boxes, let's say, if this is enough to maybe lean in one direction or the other, so be it. But this is interesting to me to sort of break down the overall popularity of the cards. Let's look now at the price of those cards. So in the set, if we kind of understand Zendikar Rising, we've got that same graphic that's going to show us the breakdown of the cards. Again, I'll let you pause just in case. But we'll move on here. Those top 5 cards from Valakut Awakening, $6.50, Lotus Cobra, $2.50, Scute Swarm, $1.42, but Clearwater Pathway, $6.50, and then Seagate Restorations, our bigger hitter, at around $15. So those are some decent, okay prices. There's no epic, you know, 30, 40, $50 mythics in there that are really sought after from the set to play with. And then as we look at numbers 6 through 10, we're in kind of that $6, $5, $4 range, Felidar Retreat being more or less a bulk rare, but a very popular card. So there's nothing really, really shocking or glaring about the price of the cards in Zendikar Rising. But if we do shift over to Kaldheim, you can see that the top 5 cards there, it's a similar story. Toski's around $8. The other cards are floating somewhere in the 4 and 5 range, with Tybalt's Trickery only being a couple dollars. The difference here is that in Kaldheim, we've also got a bigger mythic card, in Goldspan Dragon being around $18, $19 depending on where you pick it up, but everything else being in kind of the mid-single digits. So what is interesting to see here, if we look visually, it's a little more all over the map when we're trying to compare visually just the price breakdown. So Goldspan Dragon is the heavy hitter from Kaldheim, but Zendikar Rising has Seagate Restoration, and then everything else, it's funny to kind of see how the rank of the popularity of the card, we're kind of moving from left to right, 1 through 10. It's interesting to see how the single most popular card, second, third, fourth, disregard the 5th, but 6th, 7th, disregard the 8th there with Goldspan. 9, it doesn't really fit the mold, but 10, they all are really relatively close in price. I find that just visually kind of interesting. I have no idea how to explain that phenomenon, but there you go. Put your tinfoil hat on. The total value of the top 10 cards is an unimpressive or underwhelming $56 in Zendikar, $64 in Kaldheim. We all know, though, that that's not entirely the reason that box prices are sustained over time. You will never pull the price of an Urza's Saga box when opening an Urza's Saga box, even if you hit all the reserve list cards, the top most expensive cards, Gaia's Cradle for $1,100 or something, because the box is $10,000. There are bulk rares for a quarter that you'll pull out of those packs. Remember, I think we all know this, right? Just remember that that's not always an indicator, but I think it's important here to just look at actual information. These are in-print played cards. These are an indicator of how popular they are. Some of these numbers, though, will change because when they rotate out of Standard, they'll only become relevant in Pioneer, Eternal formats, non-rotating formats, Commander. But that's why I look to Commander, because Commander as a non-rotating format is an indicator of sort of a long-term popularity of a card. Does it have a sustainable role to play in a format that does not rotate? Lastly, if we check out kind of the print run information, these sets came out really close to each other, obviously. They're the two oldest in Standard. Zendikar Rising in September of 2020, seems like forever ago, and Kaldheim in February of 2021. Both sets are Standard legal. They're considered in print while they're in Standard, technically speaking. Box prices for Zendikar Rising draft, $99. The set boosters a little more than that, but the collector boosters are just as much as Neon Dynasty collector boosters. So those are a little out there. But Kaldheim, same thing. You know, it's a $99 draft box, and then the set boosters, remember, they were around $81 recently, but they're just less than a draft box right now. So if you are really compelled by Kaldheim, the set boxes seem to be still a relatively okay deal. It's the collector boxes that I think are the best deal. I loved opening Kaldheim collector boxes. I thought the showcased frames were incredible. I really, really love them. They spoke to me. I think that's kind of the point of having these really unique and specific art styles. But the collector booster boxes, I've picked up in the 150s whenever I could. They're still floating somewhere in the 170s. I think long term, you might look back and think, wow, that was a really great price at the time. If I could tell the future, I would not be sharing it with anyone. Be wary of people who tell you they can and then try to sell it to you. So this is the story. This is the picture. What do you think? Do you actually use any information like this to size up your purchases? I do think it's interesting always to just try and visualize information, compare apples to apples truly. I'm looking forward to putting out the next 2 videos. So I'll compare Strixhaven and AFR since they're the next in line, and then both of the Innistrad sets to each other. I'm not going to venture into Neon Dynasty and New Capenna quite yet because they have not had anywhere near enough time to settle into Commander. The Innistrad sets haven't really either, but maybe we can at least get an indication of where they're headed. Is one significantly more popular than the other? Time will tell. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, leaving a comment, subscribing even, follow along. I've really appreciated everyone's support. As I say, this has been absolutely incredible. I'm working on the next couple, and I'll see you as soon as they're ready. So until then, thanks for watching and take care.